G'day, this is Simon at South OC Cars and Coffee. I'm with Clay. This is one of our bonus videos. I saw this car roll in this morning and I went, huh, what's that? Then I noticed some of the stone chips and I thought, this car has actually been test driven. Then it occurred to me what this is. This is a Radford Motors one of one. Clay, pretty special car, right?
Yes, this is our Type 62-2 prototype. This will be literally one of one and will remain that way. All of our current customer specs going down the line when we make the 62 vehicles will no longer have the components that this car has. We've updated to a V2 system, so a brand new tubular front subframe as well as rear subframe. So at the moment, this is basically the rawest form of what we could create in a CAD room.
Yep.
And then after testing it now, Jenson has taken it around the laps pretty hard. He's broken some parts. He's figured out that we can go better, bigger.
Now I should point out, for those of you who, when we say Jenson, we sort of say it matter-of-factly, it's a gentleman by the name of Jenson Button. You may remember him from, well, winning F1 races before. So there's
GP.
Yeah, exactly. Brawn GP. If you haven't watched that special, by the way, check it out. It's Keanu Reeves interviewing the guys from Brawn. Absolutely great special. Let's check this car out because it really is special. So let's come back and talk about the people involved in the project. So we have Radford Motors.
Yes.
And we also have Jenson Button. And we also have Anstead, of course, who's famous from Wheeler Dealers as well. And Ant's been here quite a few times as well. So this is a bit of a passion project for everyone involved, correct?
Yes, exactly.
And this, as you said, was wearing a Lotus badge, but this will be the one of one, and then things move on from then, correct?
Yep. Yes, sir.
So let's talk about this particular car. Everything you notice on it, full carbon wheels.
So this car is utilizing a Dimag carbon rim with a magnesium center. This is just as light as you can get for a rim. And then we're using a carbon ceramic disc there, AP Racing caliper, and then we're using CP Tech hubs. So these are, you could actually find these on another brand that's out there right now. It's called Singer.
Yep.
Very prominent center lock hub, but this is just to bring that race effect to the car. So our brand is meant to bring a race car to the streets. Now, how do you do that? You take away traction control, you take away steering assist, you take away stability control, you take away all the nannies that your modern cars would have. You know, it's not a touring car. This is a car for the men who want to feel every nuance of the road.
I love that you're doing that, because for me, when I watch some of the amazing times that are being achieved these days, for example, around the Nürburgring, the one thing that always sticks in the back of my mind is I wonder how quick those laps would be with all the nanny assist. Now, a good racing driver, somebody like Jenson Button, would most likely do a faster lap time without the car interfering with his lap. And I've seen that happen before with some professional drivers. But I love how raw that is, because if you want a driving experience, and you are a decent driver, let's face it, we don't want somebody who's never driven a performance vehicle before getting in something that's high performance without the assist, because they can get themselves in trouble.
Definitely.
But if they can drive, they're going to want to drive it themselves, not have a whole lot of computers telling them what they should be doing and when they should be doing it effectively. Exactly. Or controlling what's going on.
So the caveat of this car and what makes it special is when you come to us as a client, you're going to get the ability to spec out your car however you want, whether you want a JPS livery and you want it to be unique to that brand, or you want a gold leaf. But if you don't want either of those, you can do a complete client custom spec where basically you get to choose the paint, you get to decide what the interior looks like, what engine platform, what suspension you want to use on this car. But the best part about it is at the end of the day, Jenson Button is going to teach you how to drive this car at our Radford Racing School. So it's the ultimate car experience, to be honest. You know, a lot of people can go out there, they could buy their Porsche, they could buy their McLaren, they could buy any car on this face of the planet, but they're not gonna have Lando Norris or one of those famous people get to tell them how to drive that car.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's incredible to think a driver of that caliber is going to spend some time
actually getting to know you.
Yeah, exactly. Now, it's a really interesting design. When we look at the back of this car, the way the aero is swept up, it's actually quite minimalistic. When you look at other cars these days, performance cars with big wings, that tells me there's probably as much going on underneath the car as there is on top of the car, correct?
Yes. This car is very sleek, smooth, but it's very seductive at the same time. It has a lot of curve and a lot of edges to it, but that's where, the car has a lot of homage to it. So the doors are meant to simulate the Ford GT40 doors that Radford played a part in designing back in the day when he was partnering up and they were creating that Ford GT. And then the car as well is meant to impact on the idea of it's the Lotus Type 62 that never was necessarily. So they meant to race the car back in the day, but it never really got its fame that it needed. So that's what we brought here. So these ducktails in the back are meant to emulate that exact car back in its era.
There's just a lot of little cool things. Even the fact that you can't roll the windows down. Why should you have to?
Because race car.
Yeah, because race car. You just need to get a little bit of air in there and maybe have somebody hand you a time slip for a lap time.
Right.
Now, the Lotus that this started with, what was that?
It was the Evora.
The Evora. But there's something different going on under here. Can we have a look at that?
Yes.
First thing that jumps out at me is TVS supercharger under there. Tell me about the motor this is running and what Radford does based on what the car starts out with.
Alrighty, so this is your standard Evora. It's a 3.5 liter V6. It's a long block, and it does come with a supercharger standard from Lotus, but essentially what we've done is we've walked away from that supercharger. We've gone with a twin scroll TVS supercharger. This adds a lot of juice, has a direct port intake underneath there. They're all velocity stacks feeding from the supercharger. And what's unique about this is the internals are also done up. So it's not just your standard 400 horsepower supercharged V6. This is a whopping 700 horsepower V6. This car is capable of 2.6 second 0 to 60 time. It's almost mind-boggling. When your car weighs 2,000 pounds and you're able to go that fast, it's scary actually. It's not even comfortable when you're getting up and moving that fast. The car picks up off the road and almost feels like it's levitating.
I cannot imagine doing a lap with Jenson Button driving this. Have you had the opportunity to do that? I
personally have not, but I have witnessed videos of this man just tearing up a track with this car though.
Yeah, I'm not a good passenger. I can't imagine. In the words, to quote Jeremy Clarkson, I think a little bit of wee would come out if I was down there in the seat next to him. Hey, speaking of those seats, I love the interior as well because it's purposeful. There's obviously these race buckets in here, but I love the chronograph time clock,
we have a
stopwatches.
Bremont clock set up in here, so if you're ever wondering what your lap times are, your co-passenger here can just push start, and next thing you know, you're timing your laps with an actual proper timing setup. This is a rally kit basically that Bremont does produce. You can buy it, and it's not just limited to us, but this is another factor that brings up our car to that next mystique.
That is so cool. Mind you, back to what I said before, if I was the passenger in this car, I would have to peel my fingernails out of the seat down here.
Yep. I think we all would.
Exactly.
I would be in that same boat.
The interior is lovely because it still feels a level of luxury in there with the leather and the trim and the carbon fibre over here and the really nice sort of inlays in the seats. But it also feels stark enough because of this shifter that's sitting down here, which looks absolutely magnificent.
Oh yes.
This is a cool car. Well, we really appreciate bringing out Clay. We cannot wait to see what Radford Motors do moving forward, and please make sure to bring it along to South OC Cars and Coffee so all our followers can keep an eye on what you guys are doing.
I would love to do that.